Spawn is one of those movies I can basically put on whenever and still have a fun time with. It's a campy, edgy romp that is equal parts goofy comic book movie and also a dated, yet still entertaining spectacle of action and special effects. It's also extremely memorable and quite the breeze of a watch. The story of Spawn follows the murder and resurrection of Special Forces agent Al Simmons, who is enlisted to aid the forces of Malbolgia in Hell. It's a pretty standard anti-hero revenge plot, with Al, now going by the name of Spawn, desperately trying to regain the love of his wife by the name of Wanda, while also hunting down the man who betrayed him. While a few of the scenes do tend to go on a bit longer than they probably should have, usually belonging to the foul-mouthed character by the name of Clown, the film still goes by incredibly quickly. That's thanks in major part due to the fact that the film is cut neatly into quarters, with each segment having a memorable location and speedy plot progression. But this isn't to say the film is rushed, as we get enough time with each of the characters and the story is given to us at a nice, digestible pace. The entire cast gave it their best, and it really showed. Everyone was memorable as their characters, and Michael Jai White gave a fantastic performance as Spawn himself. However, John Leguizamo stole the show as the vile and disgusting violating clown, even if some of his scenes, like the character, overstayed their welcome. The supporting cast was also really well handled, as I liked Thierry, Wanda, and her daughter Cyan, and hated the villainous Jason Wynn and Jessica Priest. Cagliostro was a fun mentor character, Zack was a surprisingly tolerable kid character, and even though his CG was pretty atrocious, Frank Welker still gave a good, albeit somewhat generic, vocal performance as the big bad himself. If you're going to watch the film, please do track down the director's cut, as it makes sure all the shootouts and action scenes are left completely intact and actually fun to watch. Every action shot was just so cool to see, and extremely memorable. My favorite scene definitely had to be the trailer showcase where Spawn assaults the banquet, but the rest of the scenes are still just as enjoyable. The CG is for sure dated and extremely poorly integrated, but that doesn't stop the impressive cinematography from aiding some of the decent CG from looking stellar, and the practical effects, when used, added a lot of weight to what was happening on screen. While it does take on a much goofier tone than its source material, there are still some really creepy and unnerving scenes in the film, which I appreciated seeing, since the film does have a more gothic and horror-like atmosphere. What I didn't appreciate, however, was regardless of when the film is set, is the fact that so many of the scenes take place at night. Yes, things for the most part are easy to see, but I do wish there was more lighting at the very least to help aid visual clarity. The soundtrack for the film was suitable, if not exactly my thing. It was all stuff like Marilyn Manson and similar sounding songs, and definitely fit the tone and look of the film. I just won't personally be getting the soundtrack for the movie anytime soon. Still, the movie overall sounded nice, and I'm glad it didn't rely too heavily on being grungy or noisy for the sake of edge. And with all that said, while I can definitely understand some not necessarily wanting to go give this a watch right this second, Spawn is still a very fun, albeit flawed time. It sometimes focuses a bit too much on dated special effects and gross out gags, but there is an undeniable heart and sense of fun here when not focusing just solely on those things. Sometimes brainless, but very enjoyable, Spawn is, like it was touted when it first released, a summer movie that you can enjoy with your friends. It has plenty of scenes that feel like comic book panels that flew right off the page, and it's a quick watch. So if you're interested, there is no harm checking out on a weekend, as there are far worse comic book movies out there than this one. As always, if you want to help support the channel, please consider sharing the video with a friend or checking out my Patreon linked in the description below. If you have any comments, questions, or recommendations, leave them down below as I read and reply to everything. Until next time, this is Thierry Williamson signing off until the next video. See ya guys!